afternoon, distinguished governance professionals. I know that this is just the right time to give the vote of thanks, because if I forget anybody, because we're busy, nobody will notice. And so good evening once again. On behalf of the Governing Council of our dear institute, it gives me great delight to stand here to have the responsibility to thank you. I hope you can all still hear me. I'm just testing so that if I miss out anyone, it will be too busy. And so on behalf of Madam President and Chairman of the Governing Council, Mrs. Fumi Ekundayo, FCIS, once again, we are honored that all of you came out to attend this conference. Just give a little pause to applaud yourselves. I think that applause was probably for the Vice President. I'm not sure that applause will go around to all our members. Now the energy is coming. We have several chapters. We have to applaud not just the national, but all the chapters. Please let the applause go and go around the country. Thank you very much. It's been quite a long wait for today to come. And I'm sure, like me, most of you have been longing for this conference to come. This conference is really important because when we were discussing with Madam President and Honorary Treasurer, we all agreed that it was as if Iksan had a crystal ball when we decided on the theme. Because the theme is even more pertinent today than it was when we were discussing what subject matter and what topics we should discuss, that we should focus on. I want to once again thank all of you for your patience, for coming out. When the day started, it started with a light drizzle. And it seems that the rain tries to defy Iksan, but Iksan ends up defying the rain. And when I came on my way to the venue, and it was pelting rain, I said, this rain does not know that we have gone past that too. If we could do Walk for Life in the heavy rain, I'm sure we can come down from our cars and enter the venue. And as God would have it, the rain paused and we were all able to come. So we must thank Almighty God, because He's given us fair weather. He set all the things that we need to be here. And He has kept us here. If you look around, the hall is still very full. So once again, applaud yourselves. And so let me quickly thank the Honorary Treasurer, who's also Vice Chair of FNGPC. If the money is not out, we wouldn't have a great conference. And I can see the big smile on his face, means that we can ask for more money. I want to thank our immediate past president, Omoba Bengataiwo Wokolade, FCIS, who was here, and who came quite early. He was also with us during the Walk for Life, and he's actively encouraged all the planning that has gone on. Thank you very much. And also past President Tunde Busari, FCIS, who came pretty early and who had to leave because of another commitment that he has out of town tomorrow. I also acknowledge past President Akim Oguniron, who was also here, and who is really, really, I must say this to all of you, when the building is completed, one person that we really have to thank is past President Akim Oguniron, because he has handheld us through the building project so far. PP Bode Ayeku, FCIS, left just a few minutes ago. He has been a constant guiding light to us, and so we thank him. To members of the Governing Council, I see Mr. Dele Togunde, who I call Veteran Elder, Togunde FCIS. I see his co-elder, Babatunde Pelewura FCIS, who also flew all the way from Abuja, so that is the elders table. Dr. Adeyinka Hassan, who had called and who came here and who spent the day, in fact, yesterday when we were at this venue, he called, and his support and encouragement cannot be. We really appreciate. Mr. Oluseyi Abiodun, FCIS, Mr. Tony Okoma, FCIS, Mrs. Benedicta Shadare, FCIS, Mrs. Honorable Jacqueline Odiadi, FCIS, Mr. Andy Amos, who joined online, Ms. Ronke Okpajobi, FCIS, who also joined online, Mrs. Linda Onefali, who is here with us, Mrs. Marilineze, FCIS, and we pray that God will comfort our council member who lost her mother recently, Mrs. Marilineze. We pray that God will comfort. She would have been here in person, but for that loss. Also, Alhaji Tijani Habibu, FCIS, who also is the chairman of Kaduna State Chapter. I also want to acknowledge the presence of Mrs. Efosa Ewere, who is our chapter chairman in Lagos. Thank you very much. And I see that Akwa Ibom State Chapter, River State Chapter, Edo Delta, and FCT, they all joined online. Please let's clap for our chapter chairs. On Saturday, all the chapters were actively involved in the Walk for Life. By extension, I want to thank all the past chapter chairs, because we must not forget those who have served. And please, if you can rise for acknowledgement. I see, thank you very much. You can see that they're all here. So thank you very much. There are so many in the room who don't even want to stand. So we acknowledge and we appreciate you. And we cannot forget also past council members, because when you leave council, you have served and you have sacrificed for the institute. So please, would like to acknowledge all past council members who are present. I see my sister Ifi Esien Akpan, thank you very much, who was once upon a time also honorary treasurer. Thank you very much. Mrs. Nkechi Oyenso, I think I missed you, apologies. She's also the chairman of publicity and advocacy, and that's a committee that has really supported the planning. And so whether you participated in person or whether you were virtual, I'm sure that today has been quite an interesting day. Let me acknowledge the chairman and thank the chairman of today's conference. As she said, when the first time I called her, I heard the tone ring, so I knew she was out of the country. And I called a second time. I said, if she sees that I've called twice, she has to answer. And truly, she sent me a message. She said, I've seen that you've called twice. I will call you at so-so time. And indeed, she did call. And when I told her why I had called, she didn't even hesitate. She said, yes, I will be here. The only caveat was that, she had just scheduled a board meeting. I said, just come. I even assured her that if you want a room to have the meeting, we will give it to you at the venue. And I'm really thankful to Mrs. Ibokuno Woshika. I think she started off the day on the right note. And when we were planning, we did not want people who would come and give us theoretical presentations. We wanted people who would speak with a depth of knowledge, experience, who have been and done that. And I believe that we succeeded in achieving that today. And so special thanks to our chairman of the day, Mrs. Awoshika, who came and stretched her time as long as she could. I also want to thank Professor Fabian Ajogu, OFR, SAN. Prof actually promised me last year. He said, when we advertised, he said, Mrs. Ukpanah, I didn't know you were now vice president of ICSAN. Whatever you want me to do, because it's already late, I will do it next year. And so when we started planning, I called Prof. I said, Prof, that promise that you made, you need to redeem it this year. And he did not hesitate. That really shows how much the regard that they have for our institute. Let us clap for ourselves. It is not the regard they have for any individual. It is the regard they have for us as a body. And Prof is someone who I find to be a reservoir of wisdom and an exceptional sounding board on issues of corporate governance. And he gave us practical, pragmatic perspectives today when he spoke on the keynote. I also want to thank him because, no senior advocate sits, even the SAN means money. For him to have spent his day with us, we are really grateful. I also want to appreciate our sub-theme speakers. I have never met Dr. Paul Alaje until today. His name came up when we were discussing, and it was because he's been providing economic analysis on various media platforms. And so when I got his number and I called him, he said, Madam, when do you want me to arrive? It was just as simple as that. And although he just left because he has to fly back to Abuja, you can imagine the commitment and the sacrifice to fly in from Abuja today and also fly back to Abuja. Please let us appreciate him. Professor Ajogu has committed to becoming a member of our institute. And my next target will be Dr. Paul Alaje. And I urge all of us to really make ourselves the drivers of membership for our institute. Be the ambassador of our institute. I think that, like me, you would also agree that our panelists, Professor Bayo Adaralegbe, FCIS, when I see ACIS, FCIS, I'm so delighted that all these individuals are members of our institute. I don't know about you. My heart swells with great pride that we have Prof as our member. And so please, let's appreciate him again. And he spoke to the issues very clearly. He analyzed the issues. He did not dispense, like I said, textbook responses. But these are responses that come from extensive experience, knowledge, and interrogation. And to Mrs. E, as I call her, Elder Togunde summarized Mrs. E very well. Very calm, very bold, very knowledgeable. If you want a core professional chartered secretary, Mrs. E, Mrs. Ehiwere is that person. And I urge her to please mentor other young ones. I know that you're already doing it, but please continue to be that person that they look up to be that role model. We need so many. And I see all our experienced chartered secretaries, because when the session was going on, our president spoke to the mentoring and to the capacity building that ICSAN does. We all have a role to play. And so thank you. Mrs. Godre Ubeche, she was meant to be here physically. At the last minute, unfortunately, owing to circumstances beyond her control, she could not return and be here with us physically. It's interesting that although she's in a different time zone, she was with us in the morning when it would have been AM, really wee hours, where she is. And so, not having any reason to have done so, she could have cancelled, but she decided to stay on. Thank you very much, Mrs. Ubeche, if you're still on. We thank you for your deep dive into sustainability, ESG, and what it means, and the challenges, the issues, and the opportunities. I would like, before I continue, I would like members of our committee. I just caught somebody now. I would love members of the conference and AGM committee, please come and stand with me. Please clap for them as they come. Please don't stop clapping until they come out here. Please keep clapping. There's a reason why I have asked and I thank you. These ladies and gentlemen have not slept. For the past 3 months, we've been meeting weekly. Every Tuesday, we have been meeting. We have made strides, and then sometimes you'll be like, we've taken 1 step forward, 2 steps backward. But they never gave up. We were up till 4 a.m. this morning, going back and forth on planning. And so if you look at us, if our eyes are puffy, please forgive us. I am sure all of us will be happy to sleep early today and wake up late tomorrow, since thankfully it is dinner. They have worked very hard towards planning this conference. I think Vera Kenabe is somewhere in the room. She's been busy all morning navigating so many things regarding the plans. So Vera, wherever you are, we acknowledge you. It would not have been possible. Look at their faces. I hope that, in fact, they have done a tremendously good job. And I will say to them, when you do something and you succeed, the reward for good work is more work. And so the Institute will continue to knock on your door and give you that work that you do so well. You can see Vera with her hands full. They have not been armchair planners, but they have really, really done justice to this work. The appreciation will not be complete without our MCs. Where is Temidai Odulaja? We have a lot of talent in Iksan. It is just to look. For those of you who don't know, you can see his fellow's badge. So this is a fellow of our institute. And he didn't do it alone with Tadeni Balogun, who's a member of the committee. So we thank both of them, and we appreciate the great work that they have done. Also to members of the Advocacy and Publicity Committee, please, if they are in the room, can they stand? No, you see. Thank you very much, Bumi. Thank you. Please, let's applaud them. All the information, I know Julie is somewhere as well, and the chairman is the chairman, Mrs. Ukechi Oyenso, FCIS. All the information that you have seen, all the publicity blast has been their work. So this has been a collaboration. Before I leave, I would not give this microphone without speaking about our building. As you know, I also wear the cap of chairman of building committee. How many of you want to one day have this conference in our building? Raise your hand, let me see. I can see some people who don't want to have it. So I want to see their faces, because next conference will be coming to them for money for the venue. But I am so optimistic, for some reason, that the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria will sooner than later have a befitting venue, a befitting national secretariat for Iksan. I thought all of us would be clapping. Under the leadership of Madam President, we have made great strides. As you can see, the consultants have been engaged. We had, if you look at the video behind us, this was the turning of the sword ceremony. You can see one of our past presidents who was there, who's a senior citizen. You can see pictures, yes. And please, you can watch it from any screen that's close to you. You can see pictures of the turning of the sword. So we have made incredible strides, one step at a time, but we'll soon be there. Just as we did the turning of the sword, I believe that sooner than later, we will be doing the commissioning of that building. And so, at the dinner tomorrow, we ask you to come out. Come out, because it is the first formal event towards raising funds externally for our building. All this while, we have been contributing internally. And the council has also given us approval. I'm sure all of us want to see that building. The Secretariat will be conveying the approval that council has given towards raising money every year and giving every member of the institute the opportunity to participate towards that building. I'm sure we all want to participate. And so we urge you to be a part of this milestone. There are some people in this room who have already started on their own to contribute towards that building. Please, without me mentioning their names, let us clap for them. There are members who have committed that every month on their own, they have been paying a certain amount into the building fund because they want to see that building. And I encourage all of us to do the same. I also want to draw your attention to our conference partners. They are listed on page 19. It's very important, because if you know how difficult things are this year, we did not expect that we would even have the kind of support that we have received this year, Everybody knows that companies, individuals are cutting their expenses down. So we are really, really thankful to these conference partners. And please permit me, because next year we will go back to them. So we want to thank MTN that gave us this hall free for 2 days. And in addition, also gave us a cash sponsorship. So we thank MTN. We also thank First Registrars. Please, as I'm calling them, their reps are in the room. Please let the clap be loud. The Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, Nestle PLC, STL Trustees, Dangote Cement, Bank of Industry, don't be tired of clapping, Guinness PLC, Alsec Nominees Limited, Cedrus Limited, Continental Reinsurance, Promasidor gave us drinks during the Walk for Life. Please, let's keep clapping. Risk Tech and Advisory, Total Energies, Seplat Energy, First Bank, Momo PSB, Babalakin & Co., British American Tobacco, Nigerian Breweries, International Breweries, and the Corporate Affairs Commission. Thank you very much. On the final lap, I want to thank the registrar. Where is the registrar? I think we have dragged him, pulled him. We have done everything to him and his team this last couple of months. But it was all to make sure that we have a successful event. And you can see the time. It's almost 5, and this hall is still full. It means that people really want to connect with their peer professionals. And the registrar does not work alone. Where are all the staff of the Institute? Please just rise for acknowledgement. Please clap for them. We really thank you for not giving up, but for staying the course. May I also draw your attention to forthcoming programs of the Institute. That's on page 41. Please take your time to look at all the training opportunities. We also want to thank our media partners. They are the ones that will take the message and the coverage beyond this hall. We had a media parley last week, and it continued today. Tomorrow, we also invite them to be present at the dinner. We thank our vendors. Some of the vendors had to work overnight at the venue to set it up. So please, let's applaud our vendors. And so, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, today is very nostalgic for me, because when I started as vice president, I was told that my primary job will be giving votes of thanks. And today, I am grateful to God that at the next conference, somebody else will be giving the vote of thanks. But what gives me great joy even more is to look around and see our members. Our strength is growing. And I know that without members, we have no institute. Without you, there is no ICSAN. And so we must make sure that we don't just come alone. We should bring others, because we are governance professionals. Everything that has been discussed today, we are the neck that turns the head. And so as you leave today, leave armed with all the points that all our speakers, all our panelists all the Q&A. I thoroughly enjoyed the Q&A today. Let us go back and be the ambassadors that influence the trajectory. Let us be the ones that would actually make everything that has been said here. There was a question there that this should not be talk shop every year. And Prof threw a challenge to us. Let us not just make recommendations. Let us, as members in the public sector, in the private sector, in the not-for-profit sectors, let us change the trajectory of our dear country, Nigeria, because we have none other. There's one person I would like to thank specially. Please join me to thank Madam President. Madam President she and I have a particular picture that we always take. As HT calls it, the famous hug. And we will hug again today. She has not just been a president, she has been a sister. She has been a partner. It's almost like our minds think alike. Even when we're sending each other messages, it's almost like an extrasensory perception. And so, Madam President, I want to thank you for your leadership of the Institute. I'm truly grateful to have your attention, and I will not drag it any further. And so I wish you Godspeed to your various destinations. I invite you to be here. We have a track record for starting on time. The red carpet starts at 4 p.m. tomorrow. If you come by 6, perhaps if the hall is full, we will have to find where to put you. So I urge you to please come out. Also, you have seen that our chairmen come out on time. And so let them not come and wait for us. Tomorrow will be an even better event. And so, Godspeed. God bless Iksan. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.